Midsummer Night's Dream is one of the few comedies written by Shakespeare that's actually well known. We've all read the story, but how many of us actually understood what was happening without someone explaining it to us every 5 minutes? So here we go, brief summary of Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. This is Theseus, Greek hero, killed the Minotaur, abandoned his wife on a deserted island, bound to a chair in the underworld where his friend, after said friend, decided to marry Persephone, queen of the underworld, was a good idea. Yeah, none of that mattered in this case. He's been downgraded to just the king of Athens this time. Him and Hippolyta, queen of the Amazons, are getting married, and that's basically all the screen time they get. Next, we're introduced to our four main protagonists, Lysander, Demetrius, Hermia, and Helena. Lysander and Hermia are in love. Demetrius likes Hermia, Helena is obsessed over Demetrius, Demetrius and Lysander are rivals, and Helena and Hermia are childhood friends. Simple. Hermia's dad, Aegeus, tells Hermia that either marry Demetrius or die. So Lysander decides the best thing would be to steal away in the fairy woods to his aunt's place. Hermia is like, okay, sure, and tells Helena, hey, you can totally have Demetrius. Me and Lysander are gonna leave Athens. But instead of being happy, Helena decides to tell Demetrius of their escape so he can totally see that Helena is the one for him. Instead of falling instantly in love with Helena, Demetrius instead chases after them into the woods. Shocker. Cut some acting company that's gonna perform at the Theseus and Hippolyta's wedding. The only important one is Bottom, so just forget about everyone else. Now cut to the forest. The king of the queen of fairies, Oberon and Titania, are fighting over a recently kidnapped child. Titania was a friend of the mother and wants to raise the child as her own out of respect, while Oberon wants another servant. Truly intriguing arguments, if you ask me. Though in order to get this child, Oberon decides to tell his sidekick, Puck, to get this flower and use his shoes on Titania. So next time she wakes up, she'll fall in love with the next living thing she sees. While she's madly in love with whatever she sees, um, whatever he plans to do, he's getting the child. A while later, Oberon sees Demetrius trying to escape from Helena and decides that Helena needs help. But instead of the psychiatric help she obviously needs, he tells Puck to grant the sweet Athenian lady's wishes by using the same love potion juice flower thing on Demetrius. Unbeknown to them, there's another Athenian couple in the forest. So Hermia and Lysander go into the forest. They're both tired and agree that now should be a good time to rest. So Lysander's like, hey, you want to sleep with me? But Hermia doesn't want to sleep together, so they're separated. Puck finds Lysander asleep and thinks he's a target, so he puts the love flower potion onto his eyes. Demetrius manages to escape Helena, so Helena is wandering around the forest alone until he finds a sleeping with Lysander. She wakes him up, who immediately falls in love with her. When she runs away, he chases after her. Hermia wakes up from a nightmare, now very lonely, and her boyfriend's left and goes to look for Lysander. Act 3. Bottom and the gang decides to rehearse in the forest, at which point Puck finds them and turns Bottom's head into an ass's head. Can I curse? I can curse, right? Everyone runs away from him, and he wanders into the forest singing, which wakes Titania up. She instantly falls in love with him, decides that he'll be staying in the forest with her whether he likes it or not, and sheds him of his mortality. Puck is reporting all the shenanigans that's been happening to Oberon and Hermia, and Demetrius walk by arguing. Hermia leaves, Demetrius falls asleep, and Oberon, realizing that Puck had fricked everything up, orders him to fix everything. Oberon puts the love potion on Demetrius' eyes, and Helena, followed by Lysander, appear. Lysander is praising Helena and saying how much he loves her and hates Hermia, but Helena's not buying any of it. Their arguing wakes Demetrius up, at which point he sees Helena and is immediately in love, although seeing him fall in love with Lysander would have been 1,000 times funnier. So now Helena has two very persistent suitors following her. Hermia finds them and asks Lysander why he left her all alone in the woods. Lysander's like, it's because I hate you. And she's like, no you don't. So he says, quote, away, you Ethiop, end quote. Shakespeare, A Midsummer Night's Dream, Act 3, Scene 2, line 262. At this point, Helena is sure they're all mocking her, but with Hermia behind it all, and has a speech about friendship, and all the times I've went through, and all the memories I've shared. Are those all meaningless now? To which Hermia responds with, well, you use your height to seduce my boyfriend. Oberon sees all of this and blames Puck for everything, to which he responds with, hey, you didn't tell me which Athenian girl needed help and which was the guy, so you can't blame it all on me. Oberon's tired of all this drama and gives Puck another flower and tells him to fix this. Puck lures Lysander and Demetrius apart. Everyone gets tired and falls asleep, and Puck uses Control-Z flower on Lysander. Titania is still spoiling Bottom, and Bottom's like, look, all this is awesome, but I want to sleep. So all the other fairies leave, and as they fall asleep, Oberon's got this child and tells Puck to use Control Z Flower on Titania. Titania wakes up, sees Oberon, and is like, oh my Olympians, honey, I saw this nightmare where I fall in love with an ass. And Oberon's like, look right behind you. That's your ass boyfriend. And Titania's like, ugh, disgusting. And then they dance. Trying to give Aegeus, Theseus, and Hippolyta, those people from the beginning, are in the forest hunting and see the four unconscious lovers. Aegeus is like, Hermia, what are you doing here? Also, have you decided whether you want to die or marry Demetrius? At which point, Demetrius is like, oh, I hate Hermia. Helena's the love of my life now. So I just accept it. Bottom wakes up with a hangover and a normal human face, with a little recollection of previous night's events. He's inspired by what he thinks was a dream, and he's gonna write his own play. It's gonna be called Bottom's Dream, and it'll be the best thing to ever exist. Bottom's gang performed the play at the wedding. It's terrible but funny, and everyone lives happily ever after. The end.